Hey, what's up? All right, let's get some fucking sand. But first, let's orient ourselves. Uh, there should be a lake around here. I don't know if it's north or south or east or west. Those are giant rabbits. This is a lake-like structure. Yes. Lava. That's a creeper. Fuck him. Yeah, no, I can get all the sand I fucking want. And I will. But I think you would admit that would be boring at the so fuck is going green to the north. That's not encouraging really. Oh. That's some savanna, that's good. And it's high ground savanna. Take it. I mean, could I just create a giant tower from the blocks that I've got on me? Yes. Couldn't I just harvest a bunch of sand and then build a big tower from that sand? Yes. That's east. And yeah, no, this is north. Okay, alright. I get mixed up with east west, and whenever I do, I get mixed up with north south. So should have made a chest. Then I should have put some shit in that chest. That I would have less shit in my. But let's do that cool thing where I make a chest and I put some shit in it. And then I forget it's there, and then some lucky traveler finds it. I'm gonna do at the top of this thing. Ah, fucking goddamn. Rubber banding. Alright. Alright, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? To the west. Fucking hell. To the west. We have more desert, a little bit of water, a village. That's great. Ah, fucking village. My bad. A fucking village. I didn't mean to goddamn undersell you. With the shipwreck? What? That's fucking sweet. Alright, that's sort of lakey. And then this is also pretty. Hashtag best village. Let's leave before I ruin it. I'll have to come back at daybreak one time. Start fortifying and light up. Big plane here. Here's the deal. I lied about making a chest at the top of this thing. I feel pretty confident about where I am and how to navigate all of that. So that's great. For a little while at least, I am going to start a whole new life up here. Not in the village. Not yet. I may make a run back. Actually, I'm probably not going to run back this direction. Probably going to reduce my runs to being in this direction. Immediate future. Is that a structure there? I don't think so. I think it's just a weird rock formation. Long. Look like it's a. Probably gonna use some of this iron to make shovels. Because, fucking obviously. What is this thing? I mean, I know it's not. It doesn't conform to the dimensions or the spawn patterns of anything, any structure I know of. It's a weird formation, but right there. Well, there's another gate. Nowhere. I don't know what the purpose of. I mean, they look great. I love them. I love them. Please don't take the. I don't know what the purpose of this thing is. As a bad thing. I think it adds a little bit. Like I've heard people conjecture about like, oh, what does it all mean? Oh, whatever is made by whoever, and the villagers are like the non-intelligent offspring of the people who made the mines, and then so are the Endermen, and they went to the end and they were there too long and they just became Endermen, and I'm like, I don't fucking. Because like none of this is organic, right? Like there's no method by which any precursor intelligence would build an abandoned mine. And if they did, why would they build crossbeams in them using fence posts? The crossbeams and the fence posts abandoned mines are there purely for aesthetic reasons. No purpose behind it. So why would anything in the world of Minecraft have built them? And the answer, of course, is that it didn't serve a purpose. It's just there to look like a mine shaft and what we associate with a mine shaft. Because mines don't cave in Minecraft and they don't need buttressing. The entire function of those things is irrelevant. It's a free thing of resources for us. It's a great way to stack in, stockpile other fence posts, which are kind of onerous to make, even with modern advances in fucking recipe books. All those Fallout-esque modern aids of creating goddamn planks out of wood. But they don't serve any purpose. No one has a reason to fashion all of those fence posts and then stick them in a mine. That's stupid. Me saying it's stupid is like the old man going, "Oh, are you kids these days?" I think if you want to sit down and find like a thread of logic that links all the Minecraft stuff together, I think it's great. I think it's a great creative exercise. And my curmudgeonliness about it is just a sign that I'm getting older and my brain is starting to stop working a little bit. I think it's great. Just like have fun with it. Who gives a shit? I like a good goddamn theory. I know that there's a lot of theory making in different fandoms where it's like, oh, what if this and this? And I always like the real hard ones that stand up to interrogation, have insight, and put existent things into new contexts and are, not to be like elitist or gatekeepy about it, clever. I like the clever fan fictions. I think it's different whenever you have LGBT folks who are like, hey, this character's trans. And it's like, well, one, there's no canonical evidence for that. And two, there doesn't need to be canonical evidence for that. Like, Deanna Troy can be trans. Like, that's actually supported in text. So maybe that's a bad example. But it's like, just who the fuck cares? No one is trans because they want to be in a very special episode about, gender and biology. They're trans because that's their gender. And we've made a whole category of people who have to jump through hoops to realize their gender. So, there can be an entire episode of Doctor Who where you're like, what? Oh yeah, totally? Rose? Yeah, no, and she was a kid, it's fine. And, you're great with that. And you don't even need to address it or to speak about it, and you don't need canonicity for that. I think that's a fine type of canon. And I also think that simply because certain types of people are excluded from narratives, I think it's perfectly fine to not apply the rigorousness of that. I think the point of a clever headcanon or a clever alternative take on canon is to kind of be clever and to recontextualize things and find a fact which can meet the requirements and still do a thing. I think that has its merits, but I think there's a different kind that just says, hey, look, we've been systemically excluded from this, therefore here's a take on it where we're not. And you're like, oh, okay, all right, see, that serves like a purpose which is compelling to me, which doesn't even have to be compelling to me, to receive some sort of nod from a guy who's digging the desert in Minecraft. Like, that's completely unnecessary. Because, if you want to see it in the world, do it. Fuck Canada or whatever. And I think that saying there's this hard mathematical, logical one thing follows from the other metric, and that is perhaps a more difficult metric to create and to reconcile with canon. I think that just because something's more difficult doesn't mean it's necessarily better. It may take more insight, it may take more factual knowledge of the original content, and I think those are both fine things. But I think people invariably turn that into some kind of complicated is better, more is better. As a Star Trek fan, it's something I find particularly pernicious to reconcile. I mean, look, I watch it. I think it's a socially relevant show, and I think it obviously shows its age. I think it is perhaps more culturally relevant for that, and that we understand the context of those times. I think it adds nuance to our understanding. I think whenever we make Star Trek exceptional, and I think it is an exceptional show, I think that whenever we do say, oh yeah, no, Star Trek is so great, it wasn't like other television at the time, I think we're doing a disservice to other television. I think perhaps the most egregious moral failings of those television programs, when evaluated in that context, is that simply they didn't catch on with nerds as much. They weren't as meme for the nerd brain as much as Star Trek was, and I don't think that's some sort of objective quality issue. I think, oh right, the gate's whispering to me. I think only if you're the sort of person who says, I'm a nerd, that's my opinion, therefore nerd opinions have some sort of to beat TBD merit of their own, that makes it worthwhile, I think is one of those incredibly self-serving value systems. Up. Is morning. I do have tons of sand. Not enough sand. That is a huge ass mountain over there. So I doubt I could see more from there than I could see from that other mountain, but I want to go. I want to go to the big mountain. Right. I kind of forgot how I got off on this. Oh yeah, making up reconciling logic of Minecraft. So I think I would appreciate a clever take on. Oh, those are some pretty extreme hills. Bananas. I think I would appreciate a really clever take on Minecraft mythology that was consistent with the world as a statically generated entity. I don't think there really is one, because there's no history to a world that was spawned, a fraction of a second before I got here. And because none of these entities live, you would have to create a narrative which is eventual, which makes all of these structures purposeful, and then explains staticness, which the precursor people were, this is coarse dirt, were sentient and they built things, and now they're villagers and they're pillagers and stuff, so they're no longer sentient, can't build things. And then you would also have to explain why they built things of a very limited ostensible purpose. I would build that they build temples and villager outposts, but I wouldn't buy that they build crossbeams and mines, or maybe even roads that do. I mean, players do a lot of roads that do nothing. I would like it as kind of a quasi-religious. This getting to the high ground is no good if it's just surrounded by more fucking high ground. Ravine. Ravine looks almost quaint from this altitude. And fuck all else. This was a waste. This was a waste. Oh, did we just respawn my water after I used it to climb half this fucking mountain? If anything, that's sort of convenient for me. Exactly what I was planning to do. Alright. Yeah, and I just haven't found a Minecraft exploration origin story that's satisfying enough. Oh my fucking horses. that is, as I put it, clever, which might be the same sort of misattribution of merit to something which appeals to me personally that I was just bagging on other people for. But, yeah, maybe. I think if you just want to tell a story that has Enderman in it, I think that's fine. God knows there are a lot of cheap, shitty cash out books that do that, and a lot of contracts on the internet for people to write more of them. So, yep. I think that's great. I think that there's a lot that you could do with that. I know there are a lot of people who do like their whole Minecraft thing is that they have a mod and then they use the mod. Oh shit, am I out of iron shovels already, huh? Huh, what do you know? Spending days at a time in the desert and shovels. Crazy. Oop. Yeah, and I think that's, obviously profitable to some extent. So I wouldn't describe that as a creative endeavor. But I know for people who maybe fucking have grown up on that and are still growing up on that. Some may have been 14 when Minecraft came out, who is now 24. That's probably an entire genre of interesting, living in Minecraft fiction. There are probably prevailing beliefs in some communities and fiction stories that people write and that other people have picked up. I mean, I'm sure that's very hard whenever the game is still getting updated with absolutely no fucking respect for that. So I'm sure one reason those things probably aren't more cogent or more prevalent is simply because every update, I'm sure, crushes the out of that. Because those stories are based on a certain status quo. I don't know, maybe people still play in certain status quos and remember fondly and keep that fiction around and don't worry about the new stuff. Like, I'm positive, those people exist out there. Anyway. Grading. Right. So, what do I got? Probably just finish up with this shovel and go home. I mean, I can find the ocean and I can find a lake, so fine. Let's find the ocean and find the lake. Alright, and I don't feel like doing more, so let's just make a boat. Oh. Let's go east. That's not east, Chris. That is west. Really? Oh man, God, yes. Fuck. Yes. This is east. And let's go. Again, the ocean can't be too far away. No, I know I pop up. You see all these horror stories on Reddit about people putting down a single torch and then suddenly the whole thing collapses. Because it's just this big sand spawn above. And yeah, man, I should come back here with some fucking battles. Look at how you tame a horse in Minecraft. I think you approach it open-handed and you try to ride it and eventually it won't kick you off. And then you're golden. And then you put the saddle on it. Ride it around. Good horses though. Haven't seen too many horses so far. I guess most of what's by our house is ocean, plains surrounded with pillagers, so it probably doesn't give a lot of other entities a chance to spawn. And woods, and I don't think horses spawn a lot in wood. I am so happy to have found a new village. That's great. That might be a new starting point. Check out. Lake. I kind of wanted to get a stake in on that huge lake surrounded by deserts and savanna. And I just haven't done it, simply because I've been trying to do the chunk build. I've been doing like daily stuff every day. Me running through the wilderness looking for some kind of structure or guidepost or some other thing and starting from scratch isn't something I presume you guys want to see. Peter Taylor EX, he I don't know if we just call him Peter or Peter Taylor or Peter TX or what. But he went off somewhere. I think he set on a different continent, a different landmass, and he set up from scratch. I haven't seen any of his videos on that. I don't know where he is or what he's doing. See, ocean, just like I knew there would be. Desert bordering ocean. Hey, that's a desert temple. Oh, it's a little desert thing. All right. All right. I know I haven't done this temple yet because very simple reason. It still has all the terracotta in it. I'm not gonna do that because I know Gepwin's around here. Gepwin has a jungle island somewhere. Oh shit! Look at them turtles. Oh man. All right. So this is the ocean. Obviously, that's the temple. So I need to come back here with here's for seaweed or just seaweed. I need to come back here with the fucking tools to secure that village. And another thing I wanted to, yeah, I know it seemed for a moment as though I was gonna get in the boat and sail across there, but I know it's on the other side of there. That's the ocean. Unless this is the lake, actually. That is coral. Oh man, I'm so glad I turned around. Out of obligation to you, the viewer. I'm so fucking good at this. Right, so coral, that's fucking outstanding. Okay, found some coral. And then I also have to get a flag and put it on that base. So that when someone walks in and they go, oh man, it's so great, we found a desert temple. They can see my flag there. And then maybe be sad, god damn. That's a lot of coral. That is a lot of coral and motherfucking sea pickles. It's also very pretty. Is this the lake? Oh, fuck me, guys. This was the lake. That wasn't the lake with the perfect village. That was just some water. That was like a rain puddle. This is the lake that's surrounded by desert and savanna. Oh man, I'm gonna whittle on all of this stuff so everybody knows that it's mine. I want it. I would like. I'm having like a real coin son of Gloin moment. Saw the Hobbit movie once and it was stupid. Okay,